Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Halal Tourism presentation from Sharjah. My name is Heather Harris, and I'm the Director of Marketing at Sharjah Commerce and Tourism Development Authority. Sharjah is one of 7 emirates in the UAE, and it's the only one that's the centre and rubs borders with all other 6 emirates, which makes it the cultural heart of the United Arab Emirates. Sharjah is also the only emirate to retain its true Islamic heritage and culture, and is perhaps one of the key destinations in this region that can truly promote itself as a halal destination. Halal tourism is one of the latest marketing products in the tourism industry. In the simplest form, halal tourism is about providing a holiday service that are Sharia compliant to a Muslim market. For me, as a marketing person, one of the key questions has to be what actually drives halal tourism. Is it driven entirely by religion, in which case we can identify it along with the oldest drivers of tourism in existence? This, of course, has been in evidence for centuries. Or can we define halal tourism though defined through religion, can we actually say it's more of a lifestyle concept? Whatever the answer, we can't escape the fact that tourism is one of the most important and fastest expanding sectors of the world economy. It's also a major source of foreign exchange earnings. Tourism, because it has become such a large industry, has numerous impacts, which can be felt and seen worldwide and affect all forms of life. The effect of these impacts can be advantageous, but they can also cause many disadvantages and bring many problems. With many of them, defining destinations by religion is just one of the hurdles that tourism marketing can create. However, if tourism is managed properly, it can increase the benefits and have positive impacts on the social, cultural, and natural environments of the host area, which will reduce the negative effects significantly. Halal tourism is a new concept in the tourism industry, evolving in this sense about a decade ago. There is much hype about the need to develop more halal tourism products and services to cater for this dynamic and emerging market. The concept of halal means offering tour packages and destinations that are particularly designed to cater for Muslim considerations and address Muslim needs. Halal tourism suggests that the destination will deliver for a religious, conservative market, offering adopters a conservative Islamic lifestyle for their holiday. This clearly underlines the incompatibility of the Western type of tourism practices currently dominating the modern tourism industry today. Specifically, halal tourism is recognized as a travel segment equaling roughly 10% of the entire travel economy. And last year it was calculated to be worth around $145 billion and representing more than 108 million Muslim travelers. The segment is forecast to continue to grow to an amazing 150 million visitors by 2020 and should be worth over $200 billion globally. However, we all know what marketing is about, and we all know that marketing statistics are developed by marketeers, so let's keep that in perspective. The demand for halal resorts, hotels, or transport has been the focus of a huge amount of research, and this research suggests the reluctance of religious conservative families and individuals to travel in liberal or Western-style locations, where they openly condemn travel behaviours regarded as un-Islamic. It is important to raise that this is just not a religious view. More and more family tourists from other faiths and cultures are actively looking for alternatives to the southern Mediterranean resorts, which offer hedonistic holidays entirely unsuitable for the majority of travellers. So what are the opportunities for the halal tourism economy? The halal economy, which is rapidly expanding, offers opportunities to other Muslim countries worldwide, with nearly 157 billion Muslims in over 100 countries. It is certainly a segment that no one wants to ignore. The statistics of the significant population of Muslims stress the enormous potential waiting to be tapped in this halal economy. With halal tourism being so significant today, it is interesting to dissect halal tourism from a marketing point of view and address why so many countries are still reluctant to jump on the marketing bandwagon and announce themselves as halal destination. What really needs to be in place to enhance a destination, to enable a destination to mark itself as halal? And what are the implications of doing so? Addressing whether halal tourism is actually religious tourism or simply another lifestyle platform for destination marketing is critical to answer these questions. But to be truly halal compliant, this needs to go further. And this is where operational complexities start to come in play. Quite apart from the confusing market share data, which my colleague will go through in a few minutes, halal carries its own confusion. Halal comes from the Arabic word meaning allowed or permitted. This in itself does not hold the key to support the marketing route map. If we explore further, we can see it doesn't stop at food, but includes relationships between people, clothing, business, occupation, finance, and investment. However, there are variations in the level and details of this standard, not only between different countries, but in the countries themselves. According to the World Halal Forum, many governments have set up committees to develop standards and halal certification. But with so many countries involved in the process, it will become increasingly difficult to collectively agree on one global halal standard, as that would mean surrendering our sovereign rights to what we've already agreed on. At present, there are 400 active halal certifying bodies around the world, although only 122 are recognized by governments in one form or another. For many destinations, they may serve halal food like Sharjah does, but their market is still multicultural. For an accommodation provider, unless their main market is Muslim, they cannot afford to enforce practices that may not be appealing to all customers. It is very difficult to enforce separate pools and leisure activities where there are a balance of other cultures at the resort. This impacts at destination marketing level because suddenly the destination is not halal compliant. For Sharjah, if you just address the food industry, we are totally compliant. We can proudly add the transport sector as well, and again, we meet the requirements. To look at how we cross this more technical boundary, let's look at how halal tourism is different. My colleague Kareem is interested in halal tourism, has written a few papers, so he's going to run you through the differences of halal tourism before I come back to do the marketing.
Good afternoon, everyone. So first, to understand how halal tourism is different, we must understand that as Muslims in general, we have a different perspective to how things are approached. That said, and regardless to what your background or your religion is, we all recognize that today, tourism is a reality of contemporary life. We all travel for different reasons and to satisfy our basic needs, let it be physical, social, spiritual. But as Muslims, we would probably be wondering, where's the line between satisfying one's basic needs and exploiting the chance in an unacceptable way? In Islam, all actions and activities should come from an Islamic motive, where all deeds are valued according to intentions, and one's intention should be acting in the cause of Allah. This is where it's vital for Muslim tourists to know and believe that when they are traveling, they will find the environment and amenities that will help them carry on their holiday without the fear of doing wrong. Many Muslims see it from this perspective, and this is why they would prefer to be heading to a destination that will offer them an Islamic holiday that they seek. So this is exactly what halal tourism is offering them. It's offering them peace of mind. So to fully understand, we can compare the basic needs and requirements of the Muslim and non-Muslim tourists. So if we're looking through some of the motives for travel, we would see that there are a lot of similarities with the differences mentioned earlier. So the only difference would be in one's intention, like I mentioned earlier. So for example, acting in the cause of God may be played out as a generic motive of experiencing other culture. So both motives for Muslims and non-Muslims would be the same. It's just how it's applied. So let's take a generic motive like developing close relationships that what makes people want to travel. If we take it from a halal point of view, would be talking about encouraging and strengthening the family and extended family bonds, which we call in Arabic salat al-rahim, which is Muslim fraternity. And if you also reassess the dimensions of halal tourism compared to tourism in general, we would be discussing the following. So who are the participants in this tourism activity? It could be Muslims, conservative tourists, spiritual tourists, or people who just love new experiences. Locations of the activity. It could be an Islamic destination, but it also could be a country with Islamic infrastructure and facilities. The country also needs to be able to embrace the halal concept as well. And if you're talking about the scope of activities, it would be the same, but the way it's packaged for the halal market would be different. So if we're talking about heritage, the Islamic heritage and the discovery tours, products offered to the market from halal accommodation to foods, etc. Also luxury holidays like private villas with secluded pools, and so on and so forth. And for example, also for management of the service and the production processes, we'd be considering things like Islamic marketing and ethics. So the basic services as well are also very similar between the Muslim and the non-Muslim tourists. So if we compare, for example, the basic requirement of a tourist, which is a hotel and resort, for a Muslim tourist, it would be a Sharia-compliant consideration. For ground handling, there'd be how to consider that there are families and how they would be treating women. F&B, the same, halal foods and halal restaurants. Shopping, if we're talking about malls and convenience of women shopping in peace. So to put this into perspective and balance, the significance, let's see how the halal tourism is why is halal tourism so important? So halal tourism is an exciting product for marketeers and destinations across the world because it's still a relatively new market and the concept is seriously a niche market for a lot of markets out there. Muslim tourists alone are a market that's worth over 126 billion and it's currently growing at a rate of 4.8%, which is significantly more than the global average of 3.8%. In this challenging and highly competitive global economic environment, engaging with a young demographic market that is growing in affluence and is increasingly asserting its unique needs on the tourism industry is very important. Halal tourism is considered to be a niche market with lower competition than the regular tourism industry, yet many countries have realized its potential and profitability and are working hard to lead the way. Currently, some of the top destinations for halal tourism are Malaysia. We find that 60% of Malaysia's populations are Muslim and it has attracted a worldwide market of Muslims by pushing the halal concept. Other destinations to currently market the halal concept as well are Turkey, Singapore, Russia, and Russia specifically is very interesting because it has one of the largest Muslim populations in Europe with over 16 million. China as well could be considered the biggest market for outbound tourism, but they're trying to rejuvenate its falling inbound tourism market and has recently realized that Muslim tourists are good for business. They're working hard to exploit their Islamic history as well as offering Islamic heritage tours to its Muslim provinces and to other major cities. Even Thailand has started to look at halal tourism after recent statistics indicated that large majority of their visitors came from this part of the world who have the Islamic religion. Bangkok's airport was ranked as the most Islam-friendly airport in a non-Muslim country, according to a recent study. So now let's look at the numbers. So the world population is over 7 billion, out of which Muslim population is 1.6 billion. That's 23% of the world's population. 87 to 90% of the Muslim population is Muslim Sunnis. The growth rate of the Muslim population stands at 1.84%, which is the highest around compared to other faiths and religions. This growth rate, if it continues, it means that by 2020, Muslims will account for 25% of the world's population, reaching 2 billion. The countries with the highest population of Muslims include the likes of Indonesia, Pakistan, India, Egypt, Nigeria, and so on and so forth. And if we look closely, the top 10 countries with Muslim population will account for 1 billion of the Muslim population worldwide. And if we look at it in terms of the GDP ranking, the purchasing power parity and with the countries with the strongest economic power. If we look at the top 20 countries on that list, we'll find that the total Muslim population is close to 600 million. And if we look at it in terms of the highest international tourism expenditure, we find that the top 10 countries, which include the likes of China, Germany, US, UK, and so on and so forth, have over 55 million Muslim population. So now I'll just hand over to Heather, and she will be telling you about how Sharjah is developing in terms of tourism in general and halal tourism in particular.
Okay, so that was a basic overview on the size of the market. And now I'm going to just take you through why Sharjah doesn't call itself halal tourism, but we do follow halal tourism. Sharjah is strongly Islamic in many ways: food, lifestyle, heritage and culture. Of all the Emirates, it is the only one that's not compromised its faith to attract tourism. But this still does not make the destination truly halal compliant. The visitor base and the residents are multicultural. As an organisation responsible for destination marketing, we can't guarantee that families who are strictly Islamic compliant will not be offended by other visitors who are not. Achieving success at a destination marketing level is all about meeting expectations. This means the message must be interpreted in such a way when the traveller arrives, their expectations are fully met. They have not been overpromised at any level. As an emirate that is culturally driven by Islamic culture, Sharjah can certainly promise that your family will have a clean, wholesome holiday and experience undisturbed family time in a beautiful location. If we promise that, Sharjah can clearly meet your expectations. Currently, Sharjah receives tourism from the GCC because of its strong cultural reputation, but it also welcomes visitors from Russia, India, Germany, among other countries that are not driven by halal tourism. For Sharjah, the lack of a clear set of international guidelines of what needs to be in place to sell any destination as a halal tourism location is a key contributing factor to why we don't say we are a halal tourism destination. But more importantly, we believe that we open the doors of Sharjah wider if we deliver what we promise in terms of an outstanding family destination offering a quality, wholesome destination. In 2014, Sharjah was crowned as the capital of Islamic culture. It goes without being said the destination is predominantly halal. We don't need to state it. Last year, Sharjah welcomed over 2 million visitors, of which 1/3 were not Muslims. Generic tourists come to Sharjah because the clear Islamic reputation underlines a message of safety. Muslim tourists come to Sharjah because being Sharia compliant, it gives them peace of mind. Undoubtedly, the global economy, including world tourism, has been negatively affected by poor relations between Muslim and Western nations, especially after the infamous September the 11th attacks in the US. These harmful effects were exacerbated even further with the US war on terrorism, and it would be ineffective to discuss halal tourism without touching on this key market influencer. The effect of this influence in the Middle East has emerged in the form of making travellers rethink their holiday destinations. Fear of not being welcomed in the West has definitely had an impact, and this is underlined by the most basic driver of tourism industry, safety. It really doesn't matter what the cause effect is, whether it's terrorism or a natural disaster such as the recent devastation seen in Nepal recently. Travellers, whether they have a spirit of adventure or need to relax as a family, cannot fully enjoy their leisure time unless the most basic of needs are met. And we all know this basic need is safety. The tilting of the world power and beliefs have resulted in intra-tourism in the Middle East growing substantially, particularly within the stable economies of the UAE and Oman. As you can see from the presentation, there is no doubt that Muslim tourists constitute a broad tourist market with special religious and cultural requirements that, as a targeted market, can no longer be ignored by decision makers in the international tourism market, as well as in the intra-Islamic tourism market. Although in more recent years, it has been observed that there is a growing interest in new tourism concepts such as Islamic tourism. Another concept is halal hospitality, which is akin to the concept of halal food. For all of us, these are easier platforms to bounce off. Although halal tourism is considered to be a new phenomenon in the Middle East, halal tourism has attracted many tour packages entirely based on what they've termed Islamic culture, meaning the increasing Muslim concern for products and services that complement their faith. I'm sorry, I'm touching this and it's going nuts. Sorry about that. I'm just going to help me turn it off. There we go. However, the crux of the problem rests in how to formulate and deliver practical Islamic solutions for the broader tourism industry. Advertising is clear in its approach. Appropriate dress, space between adults, no alcohol in pictures, etc. This in itself is a subtle halal message without stating the obvious. This said, as the reputation of other emirates move away from halal, Sharjah continues to benefit, and we will continue our efforts in Muslim-driven countries while balancing our marketing with countries with high outbound tourism numbers and expenditure. If we changed our subtle approach and stated Islamic destination or focused on the world halal, would our visitor numbers increase? Yes, possibly. Citizens of GCC, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Saudi, Qatar, and the UAE are setting travel trends that have never been seen before. Halal spas, prayer rooms at airport terminals, and non-alcoholic five-star hotels around the world are just a few signs of the growing number and influence of Muslim tourists worldwide. There are a lot of factors that will affect this targeting process, like the openness of the culture or globalization, and its effect on people's Islamic and social mentality, which leads them to prefer such services or not. The geographical location of the target market and the easiness of accessing Sharjah are vital. Definitely, for Sharjah, weather plays a huge role in the attractiveness of the UAE in general and as a general touristic offering. But all in all, this lifestyle segmentation strategy would certainly shift our current marketing significantly. Even after all this discussion, I strongly believe a truly halal-compliant destination cannot be created. It lies in the fabric of the society that we live in. Tourists are becoming more cynical, and they want genuine experiences, not ones that are created artificially. Retaining a tourism destination that is authentic is becoming increasingly difficult and requires foresight and strong, wise leadership dating back decades for any destination to be in a truly strong position. Sharjah has been fortunate to benefit from the wise leadership of His Highness Sheikh Dr. Sultan bin Mohammed Al Qasimi, who followed his beliefs many decades ago to maintain a country with a strong Islamic culture and a true identity. While other emirates continue to chase the latest whims in tourism fads, he stayed true to his heritage and belief, and not only built, but retained the fabric of Sharjah to ensure Sharjah remained Islamic, genuine, and authentic for all our visitors and our residents. For Sharjah, we've not had to go and shout about who or what we are, because we are authentic. New destinations continue to tell the world what they've created. We've retained halal, which is not new. It's been around since Muslims themselves started their religion. It's our lifestyle that is what people come to see. Certainly, Sharjah is a destination with a difference. It's authentic and welcoming, unique and genuine. Sharjah's tourist attractions haven't been created in recent years, but evolved over generations. The key attraction to Sharjah is the very fabric of the society we live in. Sharjah is the epitome of the famous statement that without culture, there would be no tourism. Is Sharjah conservative? Yes. Is Sharjah boring? No. Is it genuine? Yes. Is it a perfect place for a holiday, whatever your faith? A most definite, loud and resounding yes to that. Sharjah has just launched its 2021 vision and is focusing on sustainable tourism. It will focus on developing wholesome family tourism with a lifestyle that is suitable as halal, but it is not a pure halal market segmentation, and that will not be our message platform. Moving forward for the next 6 years, to fulfill our 4 key pillars of ideal tourism destination, innovation in tourism, and developing world-class tourism facilities, lead Sharjah to become an international cultural hub. Due to our deviation from what would be expected from the expected route of halal tourism communication is going to be our key to our success. Tourism should not be about religion. It should be about delivering and sharing a culture and heritage with the wider world as part of achieving a genuine understanding through education and enrichment. It is about opening doors and minds to a rich understanding across the globe. Is Sharjah halal? Well, until the clear guidelines are finally decided on, that really is anybody's guess. Is Sharjah the perfect place for a wholesome family holiday? Well, that is without doubt where our marketing lies. This year, we have been awarded as Capital of Arab Tourism by the Arab Tourism Organization in recognition of our rich culture and intellectual tourism product. Marketing is a fickle industry, but the marketing hype that has never gone out of favor in the tourism industry is family holidays. Currently, every destination across the globe appears to be chasing China or jumping on the halal bandwagon with the belief that it will bring untold riches. But only time will tell if that's true. Sharjah will not jump up and down about halal. We will instead continue to celebrate our culture and our Islamic authenticity, which is both reassuring to our Muslim market and intriguing to the rest of the world. With open arms, we welcome the world to celebrate their family time in Sharjah. That is basically where we're at. We have no great desire to say halal tourism is the only way to go, but we do believe that halal tourism is a lifestyle that encompasses a great way of living, and that's what we offer in Sharjah. So has anyone got any questions? Make them easy. We've got Crescent Rating, who very kindly turned up. Crescent Rating, they're there. They gave us some lovely statistics yesterday, and I'm very grateful for those. Thank you very much. So any questions on statistics? Crescent Rating are you guys. Any questions on marketing, we'll try and handle them.